The Indian Chief is a motorcycle that was built by the Hendy Manufacturing Company and the subsequent Indian Motorcycle Company from 1922 to the end of the company's production in 1953. The Chief was Indian's big twin, a larger, more powerful motorcycle than the more agile Scout used in competition and sport riding. When Indian resumed civilian production after World War II, they revived only the Chief line. Production of Indian motorcycles ended with the last Chief made in 1953. The Chief was introduced for 1922 to replace the Power Plus. Although the Power Plus was continued under the standard name until 1923, designed by Charles B. Franklin, the Chief had design features similar to Franklin's earlier Scout, including the gearbox bolted to the engine casing and primary drive by gear train. The Chief had a bore of 3 1/8 inches, 79mm, and a stroke of 3 32 inches, 101mm, giving a displacement of 61 cubic inches, as the Power Plus standard had. Unlike the Power Plus standard, the Chief was not offered with rear suspension. The Big Chief was introduced for 1923. The Big of the Chief was bored to 3 1/4 inches, 83mm, and stroke to 4 7/16 inches at 113mm, giving a displacement of 74 cubic inches. The Big Chief had mainly been offered for sidecar use, but was popular with solo riders as well.
Sean, tell us, how long you been riding, mate?
Well, 55. I started when I was 7 years old. So you do the maths on that, you know, there's like close to 42 years. Sorry, 38 years.
All right.
So I've been riding dirt for all my youth. It was always dirt bikes. First bike was an XR75. Mind you, I had a few of those Dexon Daredevils. They were fun. They catch fire, backfire through the carburetor, and that sponge catches a light. Then my first ever road trail was an IT. I kept blowing the two-stroke up, so I'm no good with two-strokes. I was just fanging it all the time. Then I got I think it was 1982, 83. I bought a XJ550 Yamaha chain drive, Laverta drop bars. They were interesting. A Transac 4-in-1. They don't make Transac anymore. Haven't done it for years. And I love that machine. I was still on my L's. I actually didn't have a license, to be honest. I got sick and tired of buying tickets to the policeman's ball. So then I went out and did the right thing. Got the L's, got the P's. I rode around on a Suzuki X7 for 12 months. And I thought this thing was a $2,000 bucket of shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't like the look of the bike. It was two-stroke. Yeah, it's something to get to and from work. That little bike surprised Jesus out of me, you know. You get into $7,000 power band and just hang on. You thought, where did all these ponies come from? And so I sold that. Then I bought, to help my old man, a Honda CB750 Volador. I put an 810 kit through it. I spent a fair amount of money on that bike. Then I had a big accident. I got T-boned by a Commodore on a red light at 80 kilometres an hour.
Mm-hmm.
T-boned me, pushed me onto another guy. He walked away with cuts and bruises. I was left side of my body pretty much buggered. That put me in a self-preservation society for about 2 years, where I know bikes are death machines. No. I couldn't help myself. I was hooked. So before I knew it, it was an XJ650.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this XJ650. Anyway, fanged around on that for a while. I dropped it doing a wheelie. Can believe it? On shaft drive. It went up.
I don't believe it.
It went up and I gassed it and it just gone sideways straight down. I'll never forget that. And then the bikes just got bigger and better and faster, more expensive. Then I moved into Kawasaki's,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. I had Kawasaki's for years. Started off in a GPZ 750. I bought a 900. Then back to Hondas for a little while. I had a Honda 900. That was a good little bus. I sold that too cheap. I should have. If you ever get the feeling, I don't ride it anymore, I should just sell it for a song, just wrap it in bloody rags, put it away and forget about it, man, because you'll kick yourself later on.
Yep.
And then in 10 years' time, when you finally remember you've got a bike stashed in the back of the garage, you pull it out, it'll be worth a fortune, and you'll fall in love with it all over again. Well then, you know, I had a milk run for a while there, for a long time there. I didn't have time to work. Ride. All I was doing was working. So it was 6 days a week. I had 1 day off and I spent that with the family. Then the wife and I split up, and then I finally got back into motorbikes again. I had a ZZR 1100 for, about 8 years. I love that bike. It did everything. It ticked all the boxes. It was a tourer, and the missus on the back. We went everywhere. It was the first bike I saw over 250 kilometres an hour on. Then,
Which, that was on private property.
oh yeah, Eastern Creek. And then it come to the point where, okay, I need to get away from these sports bikes, get into the tourers. So a friend of mine, Dirt, he had a old Suzuki VL15. He sold it to a mate of ours who crashed it and repaired it. Then it was up for sale, and he was like 1/3 the price. I thought, I can't say no to this. So I bought it. And I thought, okay, this is my introduction to the cruiser world.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, every time I was getting on these ZZR, my shoulders and neck was aching. I thought, I'll have to sell this bike. So I sold it to a mate. And I thought, okay, I wouldn't mind a Goldwing. I went out and put a Goldwing. Anyhow, that was okay. I loved the Goldwing, 6 cylinders, 420 kilos. The wife had her own armrests on it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She loved it, but it just got to the point where it was a 1996 model, but it was in mint condition. No one wanted to service it. I couldn't find parts. I was servicing it myself, but to try and find the parts to replace anything that broke was so hard. So I got rid of that. I thought, well,
And then, wasn't it something between the Goldwing, weren't you given a wallet?
oh yes, yes. Birthday. My son Angus gives me. He knows I love Indians because my granddad had one. Anyway, give me this wallet, an Indian wallet. I thought, oh, that is so beautiful. Just basic black leather with embossed, warhead on it. I thought, oh, that was so cool. And then the brain starts thinking silly thoughts. One day I've got to make this wallet, legit. I've got to have the vehicle to go with it. So within a year, I had the motorcycle. But I got to the point where I thought, I want to buy a new bike, blah, blah, blah. And I got rid of the Indian. I had just the VL. I'm thinking, I've got to get something that I really wanted. So I thought, oh yeah. So a couple of talks here, a couple of talks there. Hey presto, And now I've had it, 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
All I've done is I put a set of tyres on it, give it its service, because the previous owner didn't service it, he just rode it. And it was a shock. I come out of the shop, and I thought, oh yeah, no worries, no one coming, gassed it, thing nearly took off sideways, all these extra ponies appeared, it was great fun. What else have I done? I put a new set of tail fins on because a mate ran up the arse of it on his Harley.
And the white walls you put on?
I always had white walls.
Always had white walls?
Yeah. Just new set of tyres and service. And serious, it can stay in the garage for 2 weeks, right? But while I'm sitting on my lounge at the end of the day and I'm looking, watching the news or whatever, I'm facing the bike. And I know that at any time I can just wander out of the garage, flick the stand up, and just piss off wherever I want.
So, we don't really like to talk about the negatives of our own bikes.
The negatives.
Okay. However, there are negatives. We know there's negatives. So, let's just start with this morning's incident about this little... This isn't really a negative. This is just a advice to those who own Indians.
Make sure you don't leave the key in the garage when you leave home.
Especially the fob
part
of it.
Garage. Yes, I left the key fob in the garage, which is I've never done before, and it tripped me up straight away. It's blinking and carrying on. Now, you got to admit the human factor is the weakest link, i.e. me. But once we figured it out, it's done its job's perfect, didn't it? I mean,
Yes. Yeah,
you know,
100%.
But the funny thing was, instead of going to the garage, get the key, come back to the bike, I had to push it back. We had to push it back to the garage. Then she'd fired up. And then I realised what stupid mistake I'd done.
So realistically, the only major downfall that you would see of the Indian would be the prices for parts and service and maintenance to keep that vehicle alive.
Yeah, it's like anything Harley Davidson. They're all the same, but.
But for top shelf vehicle, they are what they are. You pay those prices for the top shelf parts.
Yeah, well, that's true. You're not out thrashing it like a $6,000 motorcycle that you can get parts readily available like any Japper. But yeah, I think it's a cut above. So I can understand. Yeah, they make it that little harder to reach, but when you're at that point in your life, you don't mind. I don't mind, but quite frankly, there's nothing really I want to do to it. To me, it's perfect the way it rolls off the showroom floor.
So my final question for you is, would you consider a different bike, or would you stay with where you are?
Oh no, I'd definitely stay where I am. It's taken me 40 years to get here, and I have no intention of turning around and saying, okay, I'm done. You know what I mean?
So the smile says it all, folks.
Oh yeah.
You don't really need much more from that. That's a little bit of insight from Sean.
I need to buy another one. To be honest.
And there you go. That's how bad it does. I wouldn't choose another one, or any other model, should I say, but he's happy to take more Indians into his tribe.
Well, I want to leave one for my son and one for my daughter.
And I think he should leave one for Chad, so he probably needs 3. Anyway, thanks, Sean, for your time.
No worries, buddy.